Hello everyone, we are Agustina, Eugenia and Macarena, and we are doing this video for English Grammar 2. What we are going to do is to develop the topic Basic Sentence Patterns. To give a complete definition of it, we are first considering each term separately.
First, let's state what a sentence is. A sentence is a group or a set of words that expresses a complete thought or meaning and consists of a subject and a predicate. The role of the subject is to tell us what the sentence is about, what is the topic of it, and the predicate, which must have a finite verb, specify what is said about the subject.
For example, in the following sentence, Brandon looks sick. Here we have Brandon, which is the topic of the sentence, plus looks sick, which is what is said about the topic. If any of these two elements is not present, we will not be talking about a sentence. Also, a sentence must contain at least a subject and a verb.
Now, what is a pattern? It is a repetition of elements that contributes to organize and shape the meaning of a sentence. It is a guide or a model that helps us understand the different alternatives or options we may have in order to create a sentence. Knowing this, we may say that a sentence pattern is a sequence or combination of elements in a sentence that, organized correctly, gives meaning to it.
All sentences in a language can be reduced to 6 different combinations of elements, which are subject, verb, objects, direct and indirect, and complements, subjective and objective.
It is important to consider that lexical units are not to be combined freely. We have some restrictions. If we change the order of some words, we won't be following a pattern. For instance, if we change the order of the elements in the following example, the waves crash hard. We may have the crash waves hard or the hard crash waves. This cannot happen because we are not making sentences as they lose their meaning. To avoid these mistakes, we need to know the different patterns, which we are introducing now. 1. Equational assertion pattern. 2. Intransitive assertion pattern. 3. Transitive assertion pattern. 4. Transitive receiver assertion pattern. 5. Complement assertion pattern. 6. Indefinite equational pattern.
For the equational assertion pattern, we have the following elements: subject plus linking verb plus complement. As in the examples, the woman with brown hair is my new teacher, the enormous palm tree in the park is so gorgeous, and the university students are in the backyard.
Then we have the intransitive assertion pattern, which is formed by a subject plus an intransitive verb plus a complement. As in, the huge black dog with big eyes barks loudly. My cousin, who has ginger hair, smiled at her. And Harry Styles sang Three People with Kindness.
In the third place, we have the transitive assertion pattern. It requires a subject, a transitive verb, and an object, as all transitive verbs need to be followed by an object. For example, the handsome guy in my class broke up his relationship. My ex-boss hired new people. And I sold my old red pair of Converse.
We also have the transitive receiver assertion pattern, which not only has a direct object, but also an indirect one. So we have subject plus transitive verb plus indirect object plus direct object, or direct object plus 4 or 2 participles plus indirect object, as in the young boy who lives next door gave the girl that he met yesterday a bunch of flowers, Susan bought a new Christmas tree for the family, and Finn gave a golden star necklace to Rachel.
Another pattern is the complement assertion pattern, consisting of a subject plus a transitive verb plus a direct object and a complement. As we can see in my aunt, who works at the bank, named her dog Toby. The citizens elected him to be president of the US. And we are going to leave.
And finally, the indefinite equational pattern. This pattern begins with an introductory there and is followed by a linking verb an indefinite, and a complement. Thus, we have there is someone in the bathroom, there are few more bottles of wines on the table, and there was a fight at the end of the concert.
By now, we have seen briefly which the 6 different sentence patterns are. Bear in mind that some authors say that there are more or less patterns than 6, but we consider these ones. So now, as to make a comparison between 2 of them and to explain them in better detail, we've chosen the transitive assertion pattern and the transitive receiver assertion pattern.
We've seen the transitive assertion pattern consists of a subject plus a transitive verb and a direct object, while the transitive receiver assertion pattern has these same 3 elements plus an indirect object. This means that there is someone who receives the direct object. For example, in these sentences, he brought chocolates and he brought me chocolates. The indirect object me here indicates that it is me who receives the direct object. This means the chocolates. It could be any other person.
See that the order of the first 2 elements is the same, subject plus transitive verb. But in the transitive receiver assertion pattern, we find a variation as for the objects. If we first place the indirect object, it has to be followed by the direct object. But if we want to emphasize for who is a direct object, we can use the particles for and to, preceded by the direct object and followed by the indirect. Therefore, by doing this, we would be able to recognize whether the direct object benefits the indirect object or not.
Now let's analyze these long sentences. We have made a distinction with different colors among the elements in it. Firstly, for the transitive assertion pattern. The grandfather of Catherine, my ginger friend whom you saw yesterday at the shopping center, bought 2 kilograms of American cream, vanilla, dark chocolate and mascarpone with berries ice cream. In pink, we are showing which the subject is. Then, in blue, the transitive verb, bought, which infinitive is buy. We already know it is a transitive because it requires an object. He bought something. And what did he buy? The part in yellow, which is the direct object.
The same happens with this other sentence. Dancing along in the middle of the rain that same night my boyfriend left me released all the pain I could have ever felt. What is in pink is the subject, in blue the transitive verb, and in yellow the direct object.
In order to exemplify the transitive receiver assertion pattern, we add the green color to show the indirect object. So, in this sentence, Michael Jackson's death on June 23rd, 4 days before my birthday, left my older brother a huge, uncontrollable feeling of sadness and emptiness. We have the subject from Michael to birthday, then the transitive verb left, and my older brother as the indirect object followed by the direct object in yellow.
Also, in listening to my dad every night as he tells stories to his granddaughter, my daughter, costs me hours of bursting into tears of happiness. We have the same structure, subject, verb, indirect object, and direct object.
We have spoken about the variation in the order of elements for this pattern, and we can exemplify it with this, using a for participle, as in, the email I received last week about the job proposal proved to be a good opportunity for my cousin Ellen. We want to emphasize it was good for her. And using a to participle, as in the writer of Harry Potter, J.K. Rowling, told Ron Weasley's actor must be ginger as in the book to the film's director. We are emphasizing she told this to him. So we really hope you have enjoyed this video as much as we did doing it. Thank you. Bye bye.